Hello, people of God, and welcome to lesson 2 of our Sunday school lessons in the year 2022, themed Grow in the Grace and Knowledge of the Lord. Having completed lesson 1, the God of all grace, we will consider in lesson 2 His grace around man's fall. Our memory scripture is from Romans chapter 5 and verse 8, which says that God demonstrates His own love towards us, in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Yes, God made man perfect, but man fell into sin. In this lesson, we will see how God's grace came into play, 1, before the fall of man, and 2, during and after the fall. In division 1 today, before the fall, we will consider A, man's special position in God's creation, and B, his place in the blissful garden. So A, how can we describe the position that God placed man in creation? Let's try to sneak a peek at the world's design in the mind of its creator. Now, the end product will be one that should move around, see and feel things. He will need to keep alive by breathing, eating and drinking. He will be created to live on land, and he will need the light to see and the ability to enjoy a beautiful scenery. That describes man. But the world was dark, it was chaotic and void. God was going to turn this around so that the world would meet the needs of his product. So he started by creating the light. He solved the darkness problem. Now he set things in order to solve the chaos problem, and he filled the void by creating beautiful creatures. He separated the waters above from those below, and the land from the waters. He will then fill it up with good things to enjoy. As he filled the waters with diverse creatures, he did the same with the land and with the skies. All this for the benefit of man. Having created all, he announced the beginning of the creation of man, saying, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." There was no such announcement for the creatures he previously created. He was set to make man after his own likeness. After forming man from dust, he put his own very breath in him. This became the source of the human life. Man was created a special being by God. God did not stop there. He went on to say, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over everything that moves upon the earth." Had man done anything to deserve this special treatment from God? Of course not. Before man existed, God already had a gracious mind towards him. We were not there when he designed us, but he chose to create us fearfully and wonderfully. The psalmist marveled at the works of God's hand, and he said, "What is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you visit him?" Man really is nothing, but God shows him grace and makes him the ruler of all that he had made. B. Let's talk about Eden, that blissful paradise. Eden was prepared by God specially for the comfort of man. Eden is Hebrew word for pleasure, luxury, dainty, delight, or finery. There seemed to be some class as to what that first garden that God created looked like. I wouldn't think any place in the world today would resemble it. We can only imagine. This garden produces every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. It also housed the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. It was well watered by a river with 4 heads and had natural resources like gold, bdellium, and onyx stone. Who will be good enough to manage this garden? God did not give it to the angels nor any other creature. But was man good enough? Surely it didn't seem that man would have the experience of managing the garden. However, out of God's graciousness, he left the management of this paradise in the hands of man. It was not that man earned it. It was not that he deserved it. It wasn't that he was qualified to do so. However, God qualified him, empowered him, provided all he would need to fulfill the mandate of keeping the garden. He didn't stop there. He came regularly to fellowship with man. Isn't God awesome? We can't buy his favor. He gives us freely. Indeed, God is gracious. Our lesson summary. Before man's creation, God put everything in place to sustain man and make him comfortable. Man had done nothing to earn all of this. It's all through God's grace. So, man or woman of God, you don't need to impress God. You can't earn his favor. Just surrender yourself to Him. He'll lift you up in the palm of His hands. We'll continue with Division 2 next week. Until then, do have a great week. God bless you.